Miss A got a lot to say on all the things we go through within the day. Politics, dating, recipes, traveling, and yep, of course, I'm the karaoke queen. I take no L's, I'm always booking flights. This is my lovely lunatic Leo life. Kaboom! Guess who stepped in the room? This is my lovely lunatic Leo life. Kaboom! Guess who stepped in the room? The one and only MissALovesToTravel. All right, y'all, welcome to my lovely Lunatic Leo Life podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I'm just so happy this whole new season. I have a whole bunch of super duper dope guests, and one of my dope guests is Doc's Brick City Buddha.
Let's go. Gang.
Yes, so I invited him to come on my show because he's done a lot. He's doing a lot for the community. He's doing a lot for men who feel like they can't get help from anywhere,
right.
You know. And so I just want to promote him and let people know that there are safe places for you to go if you need to talk to somebody, if you want meditation or even yoga. You do, right?
Absolutely.
You know, so this is going to be a bomb show. Doc's, aka Brick City Buddha, for those of y'all who don't know. He is a meditation guru, a life coach, relationship counselor, hip hop artist, activist. Like, he does it all. He's a father, he's a husband. Like, we about to get into it. Yes, we out, and he's just a positive force for his community. So I'm thank you for coming on to my show. You know, I appreciate it. We met a few years back, and we just vibed. You know, we felt each other's vibe. He's a dope individual, and
Where we meet at?
we met at a pool party somewhere in Plainfield, I think.
Wow.
Yes.
With Ashanti?
Yes, I came with Ashanti. Me and my
I was
bestie.
drunk off my ass.
This was an old life, your past life.
I was starting to evolve, but
Yes.
I was still very much so caught up in my old paradigms and all of that.
But you were still conscious, though.
Yeah.
You've always been conscious.
That day was probably the first time I had a drink and smoke in a minute, and I just binged out for like the next probably 6 months, but that was a fun time. I forgot about that.
That's where we met. I don't even remember what year that was. I mean, I had my locks. This before I shaved my head, so it had to be like 2016 or something like that.
Me and the homies was actually throwing that party.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think you might have met Ashanti first, and she brought us out there, and then that's how I met you.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's how we met years ago, and you know, we always.
I'll be telling y'all because a lot of people meet, not to cut you off, a lot of people meet this version of me. Mm-hmm. And when I talk about my former selves, like low-key people don't be believing me. So it's cool for y'all.
People have had different lives, y'all. You know, we just ascend or we get better in time, you know. So that's another reason why I'm glad you're on here to talk about.
Yeah.
So what led you to change your life for the better?
I mean, I was kind of forced into it to a certain degree. Like I always say, people learn either through inspiration or desperation. I was desperate. Like some of y'all may have heard me say before, 23 years old, I was going for a Department of Transportation physical. I was driving trucks, starting to transition out of as much street stuff as I was doing at the time. And you know, my numbers came back. They told me, we can't insure you on our vehicles. You need to go see somebody. I didn't know what they was talking about. I'm like 40, 50 pounds heavy at that time, but you know, like an athletic build. I didn't think nothing was wrong with me physically. And you know, being from where we from, our idea of mortality is somebody shooting us or taking us out. You don't really think about dying from the inside out, and it's nothing you can really do to like protect yourself. So I went to the hospital. They told me my kidney was at 17% functionality. I was supposed to need dialysis by 30, transplant by 35. Had a very like short life expectancy from what they was telling me. And the experts told me, right at UMDNJ, they told me it was nothing I could do to improve that number. I could just sustain it as long as possible, and they could help me do that. But of course, none of that happened because Dr. Sebi was becoming popular at that time.
Okay.
So initially, nothing was really about meditation and like spirituality. It was just the desperation of, how do I fix this beyond what they telling me? And about a year and a half into being at the renal center, youngest dude at the renal center every week, like 3 times a week, they sent me to a private doctor. He had me on certain medications. At a certain point, my spirit told me, stop taking this. It was lisinopril. Especially if you black, lisinopril causes depression. I was already depressed before I started taking it. It just heightened it, which is around the time of my first suicide attempt.
Wow.
It also causes something I believe is called angioedema. which is like swelling of the glands. I didn't get that, but it's a lot of adverse effects to a lot of the medications they give black people, especially for kidney issues. I didn't know none of this when my spirit told me to stop taking it, and I just stopped. I started to eat better, and about a year down the line, my private doctor was like, you know what, I'm gonna recommend you get off lisinopril because your numbers is looking better. I'm like, yo, doc, I ain't been taking that. Like, he was cool, so I felt like I could tell him that. And he was like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Wow.
And that was like confirmation that whatever my spirit was telling me to do was on point.
Wow.
My intuition was starting to develop, and of course that led me to spirituality and everything else.
Was it something that you were born with a defect, or was it the way you were living your life that caused it?
I think it was both. Actually, you can tell I'm from North. Both, right? But my uncle on my mother's side, he died at around the same age where I found out what was going on with me, Frankie. And they say he was to a large degree, I feel like his spirit recycled into mine.
Wow.
A large portion of it, because all our spirits recycle into every spirit that comes. But as far as my family lineage, a lot of him is in me. They used to always say that. So yeah, on my mother's side that existed, but then of course how I was eating, my stress levels, all this stuff, I ain't know nothing about. That dual aspect is kind of like what slowed me down so early.
Wow.
I was carrying a lot of stress and eating like shit. Yeah.
So it was Dr. Sebi.
Right?
Huh? Yeah. So it was Dr. Sebi that you started like following his practices and his eating, nutrition. What's the word? Like you just started following his practices. And
I didn't like go full throttle with it as far as his regimen, because he's super strict. For those people that it work for, salute. But his precepts, like the foundational precepts, I started to kind of do my own thing with. And then I also started to find out about Layla Africa at the time, which is, he's less known but been doing his thing, I think, even longer than Dr. Sebi. He has a book that helped me, African Holistic Health. And it's like the body Bible, so the way it's structured, it has like every different ailment you could think of, and it'll have like a small chapter on that ailment, so it tells you what foods to avoid, what foods you should eat, what herbs you should be taking, what type of spiritual practices you should be doing. So it kind of diagrams how to heal whatever you're dealing with.
Right.
I started to take some stuff from that, and of course, like my journey sent me into so many different pockets. I started to study Qigong, Chi itself, prana, and then of course meditation. So I was incorporating a lot of different things, and that's why the way I teach now, it's like a mashup. It's like a mixtape of a lot of different modalities throughout the world. Because a lot of people ask me after they take my classes, especially people who have meditated, who have done yoga, like, yo, what do you follow? Like everything. I just kind of have put it together in bite-sized pieces for people. Yeah.
I love the fact that even though you were going through a depression, drinking and smoking to mask up what you're really feeling, that you still was fighting for your life by trying to live better. You didn't just give up and be like, you know what, they just told me to take this medicine, I'm gonna just take it and die. You still wanted life, more life. You know what I mean? So you improved your life so that you can get better.
I mean, like I was just saying about both, we from Newark. And sometimes I tell my brothers I gotta keep it a buck with them. If a dude come up to you in the street and smack the shit out of you in front of the whole block, it's gonna be some consequences and repercussions. But the judicial system does that to us. Our school system does that to us. You know, the food we have available to us, or the food deserts we live in, and we don't have that same energy. We don't take that same approach. We kind of just take it. I was like upset when I started to become aware of like the conditions that was thrust upon me. So I took the approach like society has smacked the shit out of me. I'm not just gonna lay down and take this. So I was looking for anything I could do to not be the statistic that I was becoming.
Good.
Yeah.
And then so did you start meditation after that? Like what helped you get your mind right? Was the eating helps? So eating helps you get your mind right too?
To a certain degree, just starting to clear certain things out. But the meditation didn't come till after I got fired from my fifth straight job.
Damn.
And mind you, every time I got fired, I didn't want to just do another rinky-dink job, so I would go back, get a different skill set, nursing, got my little, what is it, SORA is what they call it, got my little security joint, that didn't pan out, went to Lincoln Tech, got my electronic systems tech certification, but I couldn't get insured on trucks because my license was messed up from when I was doing crazy shit in the streets. So after the day I got fired from my 5th straight job, I was on the verge of my 2nd suicide attempt.
Wow.
And mind you, I was working at that job 3 years, 7 days a week.
Wow.
When I got that job, I was the only person who didn't go to college for pretty much electrical engineering. I was never even good at math. I was just trying to, get my bag however I could.
Right.
I didn't want to do mechanics and all that type of stuff at Lincoln Tech, so I did that. And it took me a year and a half, job interview after job interview, before I actually got a job.
Wow.
The dude took a chance on me. Everybody else had went to school, Rutgers, all this other stuff. But I was super honest in the interview, and that's what he appreciated. He was used to like these know-it-alls coming in his office. And I told him, look, I got my certificate. I don't know what y'all doing in there. I promise you I'm not going to let you down. I'm a fast learner. I'll figure it out. I guess he felt my desperation and my honesty. He gave me a chance. And within 8 months, I was running that department.
Wow.
But there was a lot of like racial stuff going on in there at the same time. And like electrical engineering is a very tight-knit community, at least in New Jersey. So they was doing everything in their power to get me body, even though me running the ship, all the numbers was going up, sales through the roof.
That's
we
crazy.
Wasn't messing up no orders. They just didn't like that. And
That's
I guess
crazy.
They considered me, it got to the point, once I got promoted to lead the department, now I got to be in a room with the same dudes that was trying to get me body in the actual executive meeting. So the day I got fired, long story short, I went off. It was like a movie scene. Like when I realized I had got fired for something I ain't even do, I'm yelling. I'm wanting to beat people up. They called the cops on me. I had got my cousin a job up there. He like, yo, get out of here, bro. They called the cops. So it's like an hour commute. I'm on the road, tears coming down my face. I'm screaming to the top of my lungs at God. Fuck you all. Like, yo, why do I gotta go through this? And it was to the point I wanted to just steer into oncoming traffic. Of course, I didn't do it. And from that moment, my bro, Honest English, I'm always give him his just due. Honest Yoga is his platform. I was starting to be like transparent online because I had nobody else to talk to. So I leave like little clues here and there that I was fucked up. And I guess he picked up on that. He reached out to me. He's like, bro, I know we ain't connected in a minute. I got this online course. I think it can help. And a 5-week online course is what introduced me to meditation and like really revolutionized my life.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never really been into meditation, but just a few months ago, I went on an ayahuasca retreat, and it opened me up spiritually, where it's like I want to keep it and I want to get stronger in it. So I started to get into meditation.
Right.
I'm still, baby steps into it, but
Mine was too at first.
But still, it helped you, and that's where I want to be at that point where I can just meditate anywhere. I don't need silence. I don't need nothing. I could just anywhere to do it. So as far as you starting, I think you started meditation in the park. Or was that yoga in the park? Peace in the park. I never got a chance to go, but I know Ashanti went. She was like your first person.
I always give
my
her
bestie.
She was the first person, only person that showed up in my first class.
But then you started building, and now it's like it's big.
It's lit.
Yo.
At this point. Yeah.
Wow.
And not even. Sometimes I be thinking it's longer than it is, but time kind of starts to expedite as you realize time don't really exist. So what I've been able to be a conduit for in 4 years, to me sometimes it be feeling like 10 years. And then I'll see a memory pop up on Facebook like, yo, damn, that was only 4 years ago, bro.
Right.
I didn't have no money in my pocket. And mind you, at that time I wasn't charging nobody. I'm not thinking this is going to be a business in my career. It took one of my female friends, Taj, who showed up to a class. She was coming consistently, and she was like, bro, next time I'm out here, at least have a donation basket. And that kind of just sparked the thought, like, yo, all right, hold up. I still ain't do it, because, I want to give.
Yeah.
But, reciprocity. I started to learn that lesson just from her planting that seed. But yeah, Shanti was the first person to come. And within 3 months, she came in the beginning of the summer, my first class. By like September, when it started to get cold, I had transitioned from Branchbrook, where I did it with her, to South Mountain.
Wow.
We was literally in the cold, bundled, we black.
You get cold as
I got 30 people on the side of a mountain. Cold, really
wow. Wow.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
So you transformed your life for the better, and the fact that you're helping other people transform your life, do you feel like you found your purpose, or there's still more to it that you're still finding?
I don't even really adhere to purpose no more. purpose is just whatever's in the moment. Right now, this is my purpose.
Do you
because
think
even with the concept of purpose, it causes your mind to like go forward, to start to think about outcomes and results and
True.
if this. So I do my best to set parameters for my mind to not go forward, to not retreat backwards. So something like purpose, it's going to happen anyway. Whatever you are supposed to do is going to unfold without you trying to figure out, all right, what am I supposed to do? That's why I say I'm a conduit. I don't even feel like I've done the things that I've been a conduit for in the past 4 years. It's been done through me. I haven't calculated, I haven't planned. Things that show up on my lap. Am I supposed to do it? Yep. And I just go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my purpose is what's in the moment.
Wow, and things just keep falling into your lap and you're just going with it.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here right now.
Okay. So now, as far as helping black men with, I know it's hard for some men to talk about their feelings. Was it hard for you to get men to open up to you?
Absolutely. It was the first out of that 4 years, almost 5 now, but first 3.5 years, my clientele has been 99.9% women.
Wow.
Just in the last year and change, men have started to, check me out, hit me up in the DM, start to book their sessions. It's beautiful. I was actually able to start to do sessions with brothers behind the wall.
Really?
Past couple months, I worked with 2 different brothers that's in prison right now.
Wow.
But I think that doesn't happen without us planting the seed. Shout out to Above Our Studios that I do Bronco the speed meeting with. We also was doing the men's meetings. We kind of fell off during quarantine because we was doing them in person. But it was to the point every month we had 1 meeting a month. Right when quarantine hit, we was consistently getting like 40, 50 brothers showing up, pouring out, talking about what they going through with their lady, with their finances, feeling like a battery to the world. Like even the brothers that got it like that can take care of the whole family. Those would be the brothers that would cry the most because they felt so used. And if they couldn't provide those things, they would have that question in the back of their head. Would these people really be down for me? You know what I'm saying? So without us planting that seed, I don't think I get to the point where a lot of brothers start to open up more to the point where now we're trying to, launch our first all men's retreat.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yep.
That's a great idea. I've met so many black men who they seem to open up to me, but to a certain extent. And even just by what they open up to me, I can feel the pain that they go through. And even for them to tell me, it's hard for them to talk.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They don't want to look weak in front of energy.
Yeah.
They don't want to look weak in front of masculine energy too, but I think the advantage with me is that I've reconnected my masculine principle to my feminine counterpart. And I'm from kind of the same places they're from.
Right.
So I come in a package where it's not, a long white robe and some like etheric figure. I'm super regular, but I've also connected that feminine principle. So there's a certain level of receptivity that they can feel. They're not even conscious of why they feel compelled to tell me their life story.
Well, now I want to get into relationships because, I've had relationships in my life, but I've never had the relationship that I want. You know what I mean? And I always felt like I'm such a dope person, such a cool, kind-hearted person, but I still haven't found the one. But I feel like the higher I ascend, the more I get to love myself more, the more I will be able to find that person for me. And I know you have a story about relationships, with your son's mother, and now you find the person that you're supposed to be with. How do you feel, do you feel, I guess my question is to you, what made you realize that you found your person you're supposed to be with?
I'm gonna reframe the question with my answer.
Yes, thank you.
The question was perfect. I'm just like, my approach is different now, and every person you've been with already was doing. We kind of fantasize and romanticize soulmate level love, twin flame love. We be real hard on karmic love.
Yeah.
We don't really appreciate those knockdown, drag down relationships. And of course, I get it. They painful, they stressful, they frustrating. It seems like they take years off our life, wait on us. I get all of that. But we can't make it to those soulmate level relationships or even that divine connection with ourselves without pain.
Right. Without
somebody cracking us wide open, like I always say, even before I got with Marty's mother Rim. the 13-year relationship I was in, that broke my heart enough for me to like really look in the mirror at how dependent I was on another human being for my own well-being, for my own peace. So without these quote-unquote karmic level relationships, we don't see what we need to see. And at this point, that's how I see relationships. It's not necessarily about so much about the lovey-dovey aspect. We are here to show each other more of ourselves.
Yeah. Via
the relationship, via our connection. And most times we are very hard-headed to looking at ourselves. Spirit knows that. Our higher selves, whatever you want to call it, God understand. There's something in yoga that we call the 4 functions of mind. And the highest rung of how the mind works is what we call buddhi, B-U-D-D-H-I.
Okay.
So buddhi is almost like the good conscience, the angel on your shoulder, right? Your intuition. It wants to be able to just, reference in football, we're just talking about the men. It wants to just be able to hand off the wisdom to you, hand off the message. But when you're not listening, you kind of get further and further away from the message. So now buddhi got to kind of drop back, step past, and Hail Mary that thing 50 yards down. What's the Hail Mary? Your life going apeshit.
Right.
Relationships going crazy because you wasn't listening to the little downloads. Don't eat that. Don't go there. You know what I'm saying? Cut this friend off because they're not really... If you're not picking up on those, it usually shows up in the form of a very quote-unquote what seems like a toxic relationship. But those toxic karmic relationships are actually healing us and showing us more of ourselves. So everybody I ever been with was the one. It's just those particular ones got me to the point where now I can share this level of love with somebody like Candace, which is that soulmate vibration. But all of them have been equally as important.
So it's like lessons learned, like if they're teaching you something.
Absolutely.
I just learned that today too.
Yeah.
Somebody just told me about that. We, instead of thinking about it in the bad way, we just take it as a lesson learned.
Absolutely.
And thank them for teaching you, because now you're going to move on to the next step of your life.
Right, because if you shit on the karmic relationships, you pretty much shitting on how God had to figure out a way to get the message to you.
Wow.
Parents ain't want to beat our ass. They knew sometimes we had to learn that way. And we ain't like them in that moment. Being adults is like, all right, I needed that. Yeah.
Damn. You mentioned suicide. You had 2 suicides attempts?
I had one. I was on the verge of my second one in the story I told you about when I got fired from that 5th straight job. Yeah.
I had 2. One was when I was 14 because I felt like I was ugly and no boys ever liked me, and I was just like the ugly black girl in a white town, So I took...
Look at it now.
Right. So I'm the shit, and I know it. Right. But it's like it was showing me how I wish I could talk to that little girl I was back then. Right. I mean, thankfully I was fine. I took some pills. I didn't even, I was protected my whole life. I never knew it until now, but I was protected. I didn't even need to get my stomach pumped or nothing.
Same. I say that all the time.
Isn't that something?
I took mad pills and didn't even get a stomach ache. Yeah.
So it was like I've been protected not knowing why, which now I'm starting to figure out why I've been protected. But if I could go back and talk to that girl and let her know, listen, it's going to be okay. You're going to be actually super dope when you get older. What would you say to yourself back then to...
I talk to him all the time.
Yeah?
And he talked to me all the time. That's one of the things I work with my clients as far as counseling sessions. My approach to healing, and healing don't mean fixing yourself, to me at least. Healing is seeing more of yourself. The infinite journey is seeing more of yourself, whether that's the human kosher. Kosher means plane of existence. Or like you said in the ayahuasca, you realize you function on all these different planes. Some of your ancestors ain't got human bodies and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So healing is a 3-pronged approach, one of which is what you got to do for current version of yourself. Confronting how chaotic the mind is and starting to hone that in, and also retroactively going back to those former versions of yourself that didn't have a you to walk them through it. Your parents may not have been equipped to do it. You may not have had role models, uncles, cousins to help you through those moments. So you were just kind of left out there.
Yeah.
But now this version of you got the healing. So all it takes is for you to give attention to a 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old version of yourself. And when we completed our second retreat in Mexico, it was we always go around and everybody shares what they picked up, what was most prevalent for them. And when we got to me at the end of our second one, mind you, we had been out there for 20 days at this point, well, at least me and Wifey, because we did 2 retreats back to back. And I had always had fantasies of blowing up music-wise, and being able to travel the world and be in spaces like we was at. And so when it came to me, I just posted it on my page too. I just broke down because that version of myself that had took them pills, he had no idea what he was holding space for and doing exactly what he was supposed to do for this version of myself to get here. But they was able to connect in that moment.
Wow.
And it was to the degree I was sharing my takeaways with the group, but the group disappeared.
Wow.
You know, I had just hurt my back too, so like everybody else is in the room, I'm like kind of sitting on the steps, and the B&B disappeared. What I was doing at that retreat disappeared. It was just me and him. Tears just flowing, and I'm just talking to him. And it's like, bro, you had no idea what you was doing for us to be able, because you still here with me. I haven't left you. I've incorporated you into what I do now. But look at us, bro. Like,
wow.
I mean, so talk to your former self as much as you possibly can. It ain't got to be like super esoteric. Just have a conversation. Like,
yeah. I had the gastric sleeve surgery September 27th. I was in a relationship for about 10 months at that point, and you know, I had a lot of time to think. I was, you know, by myself a lot, and I was realizing that the relationship I was in was just, it wasn't serving its purpose.
Right.
So, and I was also changing my ways for me, but he wasn't liking the new me. Right. So we ended it. You know, he was like, I don't like this new bitch you become, when I knew I'm getting higher in myself, you know? So I'm like, okay, perfect.
He didn't like what it was reflecting in his deficiencies.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was healing from that surgery. So again, I was spending a lot of time alone. And then in December, I caught COVID. So that's another thing I'm healing from. I was in the hospital for 5 days. I had COVID pneumonia. Then in January, I had straight pneumonia. So it was like all those times I was healing, not knowing I'm healing my mind, my body, and my spirit, not knowing. Because last year I was trying to go on an ayahuasca retreat. No, actually it was Wachuma, which is a cactus plant. And
that's the older version you were talking about?
No, that's yahe. So yahe is like a brew, like the tea that comes from the tree, but the Wachuma is from an actual cactus plant. So it kind of tastes the same, but you know, it's not as thick. But I kept trying to meet with this group, but things weren't aligning, you know, and now I'm knowing because I wasn't spiritually and mentally ready for it. So after I did my healing from surgery and the sickness, I had the opportunity to do yahe, which is an older version of the ayahuasca. So it was a great group of people who I trust completely, and it was about 12 of us. We had we rented an Airbnb, and so they blessed the place before we went there. Now, mind you, I thought we were going to do ayahuasca, but when I got there is when I found out it was yahe. So I had no idea about yahe. I had no reception on my phone, so I couldn't look it up what it is. But they were saying it's similar, but it's not as strong as ayahuasca, but it's an older version. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to take it. What happened started my spiritual journey from there. Not knowing my spiritual journey actually started when I had my surgery. But now I'm in the mindset where I'm feeling so much more confident. I'm feeling beautiful. I'm feeling like January, I felt like things are like, this is my year. Like, I don't know why I felt it, you know? So I did the yahe, and we did it 2 nights in a row. The first night showed me how to heal a relationship with my mother, and my brother. So we've been working on that. So we've gotten much better since then. The day after that showed me my power. Like, I literally felt my spirit wake up. I thought it was like an ancestor I felt reviving in me, but later on I realized that no, this was my raw spirit wake up. Like, when I say literally wake up, I mean I was breathing in and out, where it's to the point where I couldn't control my body, and it was like deep breaths, like someone's just waking up after a long nap, you know. And then that's when I realized my power, and it was just like, okay, I know kind of where I'm supposed to be headed. You know, I know I'm a dope person. My gift is my voice to speak. This is why I've been doing radio for almost 20 years. And I always just live my life and share it with others, and it helps heal people and give them strength to do whatever it is they want. It gives them the happiness for them to live their own life, you know. So I used to diminish my power, like, you know, I'm cool, people like me, but, you know, I could be better. But it's like, no, stop diminishing who you are. So since then, I started to get more into my spirituality and start to believe in myself more. But of course, sometimes human ego gets in the way, so then you feel like, okay, you feel kind of diminished, like you're not as dope as you thought you were. So when I did ayahuasca now, The first night, it showed me, again, you are that person. You are this person. And you know, you're so intuitive. Stop denying. Anytime you feel something and it comes to your head, you're right. You're right. Don't stop. You know what I mean? But then the next night, it was, I wanted to get closer to my ancestors, not knowing that I have ancestors on many different dimensions in this universe, you know? So it showed me what I asked for, but not what I was ready to see. But it just keeps confirmed, like my power just keeps getting confirmed, and it keeps showing me how powerful and how much stronger I am. And I just have to live in that and stop denying it, you know what I mean? And somehow, and this is where it comes to the meditation part, me meditating now is going to make it stronger and stronger and stronger. I'm going to get what it is I want, but I know it's when I get what I want, yeah, I'm not going to lie, some of it is material things. I want to be able to travel. I want to live in a nice house. I want to do whatever I want to do.
That's still feeding your spirit.
It's still feeding my spirit, and I'm still going to help people with what I can do. You know what? I'm not going to stop. It'll even let me help people even more because now I have the money or the platform to get to where I need to be. So this is why I've been meeting so much more of my spirit family, my soul family, and people who think like me. So it's like everything is aligning. And this is why I wanted to bring you on the show. And I brought, there's a woman, Queen Mother Emaku. I don't know if you ever met her, but I met her. Yeah, she's from Jersey, and I met her doing yoga in the park. It was a community event that my friend, for Daraja of Love, he did a community event at the park to giving out school bags and you know, school supplies for the kids. So she was there to do yoga. I had never done yoga before, so I did it with her, and it was nice. I was like, I don't know what I've been waiting for it. And she's in her 60s, beautiful black and gray locks, and we just talked afterwards, and we just connect. She was like, you remind me of me when I was younger. And I'm like, you remind me of me. You know, so she was actually the first guest on this season. She came on 3 days later. I'm like, you have to come on my podcast. She came on to my podcast, and she's a high priestess. You know, she's so amazing. So it's like I'm meeting so many dope people, and it's aligning, and I'm letting go of people who don't serve me anymore, or people who don't want to be helped, or don't want to, they're just like dealing with fuckery. And now it's like I know my life has to change now because it's for a higher purpose, for the greater good. And I'm okay with that. It's already changing. Now I drink all the fucking time. I smoke all the time. And one of the purging on the second night when I went to other places, I felt like I purged all the alcohol I ever drank up in my whole life. And the reason why I felt like that's because I felt that hangover, nauseous feeling. And as I'm doing it, even though I'm not here, as I'm doing it, I'm like, damn, this must be all the alcohol I've been drinking. You know what I mean? And even though it's still fresh, I still, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna go back to drinking alcohol. Maybe if I do, it's not gonna be daily. It might be on occasion, you know, but I'd rather not do it, you know, because I want to get closer to my higher self. And it's like whatever I have to do to get there, it's like I'm chasing something like for the greater good, you know? And so I'm just,
have you drank since?
No, I haven't. And I had to do a dieta before for like a week before, so I haven't taken. Yeah. It's just like I'm getting proud of myself, and it's like I have to grow up. I don't always have to go out all the time. You know what I mean? Like I still like to have fun. I still like to. That's just me. I'm still who I am too. But I have to try to change a little bit just for me to get to my higher self. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I just love meeting people, and I wish I could have went to your retreat, man. How was that?
We're not done. We'll launch the calendar for next year.
Okay.
We're probably gonna be in Guatemala, Tulum again, because we've established so many connections out there.
Wow.
Probably gonna do blindfold speed meeting out there before this retreat that's coming up.
Ooh.
But yeah, the retreats, you know, that's how a lot of my journey started, going to my brother Honest Yoga that I talked about earlier, to his retreat. And at this point, I've been doing retreats in PA with my sister Kati, but it's different going abroad. Your first time and doing it with your wife, like.
Oh wow.
So all the stuff that could go awry, your first time doing a retreat out of the country, and then mind you, when people do these types of retreats, it's teams, like it's logistical teams.
Yeah.
It's just me and baby girl. Wow.
That's
so
a lot.
all the things that could have went left. Like, these were the smoothest retreats ever, and it's dope because me having retreat experience, both of us taking our healing extremely seriously, having a wealth of knowledge in a lot of different modalities. One of the things I most appreciate about me and Candace is our regularness. And like a lot of the stuff you said, sometimes people will like, not juxtapose, but separate, you know, going out, having a drink occasionally, whatever it may be from spirituality. We are spiritual beings having a human experience for a reason. Spirits have stood in line to be able to hit that blunt every now and then, not be bound to it,
right,
not be a slave to it, but to enjoy the human experience. So we don't smoke, we don't drink on the retreats, nothing like that. But I'm just saying we have fun.
Yeah.
But we still do very, very deep healing work at the same time. So that's probably like the retreats we've done together have been like the best, most balanced dichotomy of fun and deep healing work. And it's just always beautiful to see souls come together that don't know each other.
Yeah, man.
And tell them, for y'all to be in a space this sacred, we've probably journeyed many dimensions, many lives together. Nobody believes you when they first get there. And then by the end of it, you just looking around the room, everybody busting it up like y'all family, y'all tribe now. And we got our WhatsApp chat. People have continued to stand like legit family now.
Yeah.
Probably already was before this life cycle, but to re-meet again in this form and then remember like, oh shit, like this connection has probably spanned many different epochs. So the retreats have been beautiful.
I believe it, because in my Yahe retreat and my ayahuasca retreat, the people that we met, it was like at the end of it, you can say I love you and mean it. Like there was
in a few days.
In a few days. We were only there for 3 days, and we were so close. As a matter of fact, one of the men, when I first met him, I'm pretty good at reading people.
Right.
So I'm like, not to say he was standoffish, but I'm like, he seems like he's going to be kind of hard to open up. You know what I'm saying? But our first conversation, he said to me, he's like, he said the same thing about reading people. He's like, when I first saw you, he's like, you just seem so like, there's something to you, like a glow, like I could talk to you. And we talked, and he was open, and I was like, the feeling I thought about him immediately went away because he felt comfortable enough to talk to me. You know what I mean? And certain things that I was doing, just being me, not knowing, he said helped him on his journey and his path. You know what I mean? And this is why I say about me having my glow and just being me, like I am pure love. Like I really am pure love, you know? And I just like to spread it to everyone. Now I know things come with it because you get taken advantage of, you know. You might show the love to the wrong people, or maybe it's the right people that needed it more than you needed them, you know? So that's things I'm learning about too. But definitely retreats are somewhere like, especially smaller retreats I like, because you really get to bond with the people. For my 40th birthday in July, I went to Zanzibar, Tanzania, and it was just gonna be like
40, y'all.
I know, right? We can't 41. Tell. Black don't crack, you know.
Healing don't crack.
Healing don't crack.
Some black.
Yeah, you're right. But when I went, I was planning on doing all these things and just like partying. But when I went there, it was like, first of all, I mismanaged my money, number one. So it was like, okay, you're going to do a few things, but you're going to chill because you can't do too much. But it turned out to be, I called it my 40th A-Day solo vacay spiritual retreat. Because first of all, the hotel I was at, the man who owned it, he's from Zanzibar. But he was chill. He had gray locks. He would walk around barefoot. He even helped the guests move their stuff in. And they had like hammocks all over the place. It was chill. It was like a Rasta chill place. So I didn't even have to leave. So I did a couple of excursions the first few days, but I just stayed there the whole day. I can look at the ocean for hours. And I was just peaceful. And I was just like having my own retreat there by myself. And so I did my my season finale. I did a broadcast from over there too. And I was looking back at it, and I was just like, first of all, I just felt at peace. And at 40, I didn't know last year what I would be like at 40. You know what I'm saying? And I was super confident. I was talking to everybody. I was meeting couples and talking to them and hanging out with them at the hotel. And it was just showing me like, it was just making me love myself even more and appreciate myself even more.
And realizing that peace, like true happiness, it don't require a lot.
No.
Because a lot, women, 30th birthday, 20th birthday, 40th birthday, like those is milestones, so they want to plan a big extravaganza and have all these different things in place. You was able to strip down and probably get to a deeper level of joy than those women do in the club, spending all of that money. So peace don't require much once you realize how to tap into it. This is something I've been saying a lot too in my classes and with my clients. Going back to that kosher word, planes of existence. Usually when I ask somebody like, who are you? they'll give me all the different attributes about this layer of themselves, meaning the personal layer. This us only exists for about 16 hours a day, right? Going to a different culture into the sleep state. And there's 3 pockets where we actually do have experience over there, the REM states, when we dream, right? If you sleep 8 hours, the dream state is about 15 minutes in total, right? 7 hours and 45 minutes, what is there? Nothingness. There's no concept of the personal you that you're going to come back to when you wake up. There's no concept of a universe, a world. None of that exists. Pure, innate, natural emptiness.
Wow.
We don't include that when we say, who am I? This is why a question like who am I is so important to the yogic principles, because it kind of starts to deflect the mind from going so much towards the egoic concept of yourself. I stop where my skin stops, and this is all I am, what I am for the 16 hours. Well, out of 24-hour period, you go here. That's natural to you, but we don't really include.
We don't think about that.
It don't take much and think about in that space, you could correlate it to anesthesia. When somebody's about to get a surgery, and they come out of it, one of the first things we say, yo, that was the best I ever got. You know what I'm saying? So joy, peace, bliss is innate to emptiness, to stripping things away. Wow. You start to realize that the more you expand your awareness.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Damn, that's deep. I never thought about it that way.
Thanks.
Now, your son, I love how you're showing him and teaching him spirituality at this young age. And this is the prime time between 1 to 7 years old, I believe, is the best time to teach them, where it's going to stick with him for life. You are training a guru. How is that like?
And he's training a guru, because I probably learn more from him than he do from me. But again, the strip down aspect, when people see him he just the past 2 Peace in the Parks, he's to the point now where he'll grab the mic, I want to say something, and he opens up Peace in the Park now, and he don't just mumble. We about to meditate, and then
my
do
goodness,
a short meditation at the last one. He start going in. And people, he's so. I'm y'all better do what I'm telling y'all to do.
And how old is he?
He'll be 4 on Halloween.
Wow.
So 3 and some change right now. But it's just interesting how simple it can be for us to translate these things. I find that whatever your kids see is important to you becomes important to them. So if I was just trying to teach him these things and he's not seeing these certain times where he wakes up and I'm already in a meditative state, and he Dad, and I'm not responding. And then when I come out, what you need? He realizes how important that is, that I'm not even responding to him. Even you gotta wait while I connect with God.
Right.
So now it becomes important to him, and just making it fun, making it competitive to, he got boy energy. So whenever it's a competition, he wants to do his best at it, and those little pockets have turned into now, when he sees me frustrated, Dad, don't be frustrated. Come on. He'll literally remind me, all right, let's go into our little breathing techniques, and the same for him. And that's giving him a certain level of emotional intelligence. A lot of grown-ass men don't have it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Emotional mastery that a lot of men go to their grave never acquiring. So to see him blossom in that way, it's just been a beautiful thing. And it's a reflection of the binders I kind of had on me early on, growing up in the church, because it was the same with me. I just told this story the other day. My sister had to do the I Have a Dream speech. She, 5, 6 years older than me, so she was 11 at the time. And I was so sharp that while she would practice it with my mom, just me being in the room, I just picked it up. So she got up there to do it in front of the church. It's 150 people at church that day. She froze up.
Aww.
I was able to jump in and do the rest. And everybody looking at me yo, how do you know this? So I was always sharp, but the parameters of how Christianity was taught boxed my spirituality in. So to see him be unbridled is a whole different ballgame. And when he goes stay with them, they take him to church. I'm not adverse to that.
Yeah.
Pick up as much as you can. I'm not going to force you into anything. I'm just going to make sure I give you my part of the game. So it's been dope.
I'm glad you mentioned the church part, because I grew up going to church but never liked going to church. Yeah. So when I tell people about me being spiritual, it has nothing to do with the Bible or Jesus or anything like that. Right. And I'm not going to lie, Mom, I know you're going to be mad. But even the whole concept of Jesus, I'm I don't...
Right.
get into that concept too much, you know, but I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in a God, but I don't believe I have to go to a church to show, you know, my appreciation or show that I understand. So being spiritual doesn't mean going to church, and if you don't go to church, then you're not spiritual. No.
There's no one thing. Whatever that mode is for you, do that.
That's what it is. Mm-hmm.
And next life, you may be doing something completely different. So,
right. Yeah. And spirituality, it comes from within. Like, you are your God. You know what I mean? So this is how I look at it, and just want to share it out there with people. Now, you talking about your blindfold speed meeting. Mm-hmm. I am a single young lady.
There's water, by the way, y'all. Everybody be thinking.
Damn, every day? Like you drink a whole of...
No, this lasts me about 2 days.
Oh, okay, okay. I try to drink as much water, too. But I was like, well, if you drink that in one day, that's...
I do like 2 juices a day, too. So.
Okay, natural juices. Yeah. Okay. I don't really juice. I feel like I'm too lazy. It seems like you need mad fruit.
I just be getting them from the store.
You're right. But at least I'm drinking water, so I love my water. So the blindfold speed meeting, how often do you do this? Are you going to try to do more of it?
Yeah, at this point, we do it kind of like bi-monthly. We was doing quarterly at first, but it was too much demand. So we picked it up. We pretty much do it bi-monthly. I'm actually going to be moving to Houston at the end of September, but my son's still going to be here, his mom, and a lot of the seeds I planted, I'm going to continue to cultivate. Okay. So I'll be back and forth a lot. So we may scale it back to like tri-monthly at this point, but it's still pretty consistent, and it's just been a beautiful space because people hear blindfolded speed meeting and they just register speed dating, which has a certain connotation, and people like, y'all want to come, but I'm nervous, feel like too much pressure, and that's why it is speed meeting, because it's not about trying to link up in a romantic way. It's just trying to teach people how to learn energy, the individual that's in front of you, and the way we do it kind of takes all the guessing out of it, all the thought, because I'm not going to tell you got to show up and see, but everything is kind of laid out for you. So you don't really got to do too much thinking, and when that person is in front of you, you kind of already know what's coming, and vice versa. So it's been beautiful, and then the round table discussion we have after the speed meeting, that's been the meat of the event, because people show up for the speed meeting, they keep coming back for that round table discussion, because usually we can only do that on here. We don't get a lot of time to, in real time, in person, feeling each other's energies, hearing the inflection in somebody's voice, seeing their facial expressions as they release. Those roundtable discussions get super deep. I can tell you this part, we have everybody when they come in write down a question for that part of the event, and I tell all the ladies, you got a room full of men. If you knew we had to be honest with you about anything, what would you want to ask us? Nobody gonna know you asked this, so get it in, and I tell the brothers the same thing. So when we get to that, we just pulling questions out, and some people don't even come to do blindfolded. Like, they'll just come be a fly on the wall, watch everybody else do their thing if they're not comfortable.
Oh, really?
And they just stay to get, to hear what other people got to say and get what they got to get off their chest for the roundtable real talk. So it's a lot of different compartments to it. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'm thinking about it.
Love y'all.
Now, Houston, you said, I went to Houston. I was planning on moving to Houston actually in the fall. So I went there twice this year to check it out, and I loved it. Yeah. So hopefully maybe next year I might go out there.
Houston is definitely a vibe.
Yeah. And you're building a house out there, right?
It's built.
It's done already?
It's going to double as an event space.
Wow.
So we didn't realize it. We knew we wanted to do that, but while it was being built, it kind of turned itself into a cathedral. So it's like completely open floor plan, 36-foot ceilings. And we didn't mean to do that initially, but as we was going back and forth with the contractors, they was like, well, if we do this, we got to do that. And it just ended up being like cathedral type.
Nice.
To the point where they was getting mad, like, yo, we got to come in here and scare us 36 feet. Like,
wow.
It turned into a beautiful space. We named it Ajna, which is Sanskrit for the third eye. Okay. So it's kind of, going to act like a portal, a bridge between the human experience and the spiritual realm. Even before they painted, we put a bunch of sacred geometry and intentions on the walls and all of that. So it's a lot of energy already in there. So
you'll be inviting people to your house for retreats?
Absolutely. Not just retreats. I'm going to be teaching meditation out of there.
Okay.
We'll do events like blindfolded speed meeting out of there. We get a lot of people in there. So
I need to hurry up and move to Houston. That's what's up. So is there anything that you're promoting right now that you're going to that you want to talk about?
Yeah, just the men's retreat. We still waiting on. I didn't get hit back yet. We put the information out. I'm not gonna say late. It went out when it was supposed to. I realized we may need to give men a little more time to make plans.
Okay.
Because even though it's like a 2-day retreat on the weekend, they ain't even really got to miss work.
Right.
Just to show up to something like that when men are not used to it, they may have that little spark like, I want to do that, but they need more time to plan.
Okay.
Because we need to hit a certain amount to like go through with it, so we'll know within the next few days if we're doing that. East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, all men's retreat, meditation, vegan food, lodging, all of that is in the price accommodated for. We saw our first 3 retreats out of the country. And mind you, like, that's the thing when you really are kind of do it, there's no storyline of what you can't do because you realize you're not relegated to just your energy.
Right.
So this day and age, you gotta have, like, content is king. We ain't have no videos, we ain't have no fancy promo, we had a flyer.
Wow. People still do flyers? Like physical flyers?
All we had was a flyer, not physical, but just online.
Okay.
And within a week, the first one was sold out, the second one was half sold out in like 2 weeks. And that got the ball rolling for us. And now we sold out in October. So like I said, we'll have a whole retreat schedule.
That's awesome.
For next year between Guatemala and Tulum.
Ooh.
And outside of that, couples therapy, one-on-one counseling, one-on-one private meditations, lecturing. I'm starting to work with a lot of sports teams now and stuff like that.
Nice.
So yeah, however y'all want to use me up, hit me up and figure it out.
I'm so proud of you, yo. I'm so proud and happy for you. You're doing your thing.
Me too.
And I do want to get Candace up here because of her. She started out as a, oh my God.
Police officer, military.
That, but also driving a van around the United States. The van life, like.
Started, she'll actually be up here for the last piece in the park. And she was just commenting on the space, so she'll probably want to get in here.
Yeah, oh, yeah, please.
So I'll have her hit you up.
Yes, please. I would love to meet her. She's a beautiful woman, too. And she seems awesome. Like, I've been watching her live videos sometimes, and she just seems like, I'm like, we should be friends. Yes, so again, Docs, a.k.a. Brick City Buddha in the building. Thank you so much for this conversation, yo. This is dope.
Yeah, no doubt.
You are not a stranger. You're always welcome. Definitely, if I do go to Houston, you guys will be my friends out there, okay? All right, y'all. So this is the one and only Miss A, and thank you for listening to my Lovely Lunatic Leo Life podcast. And we are out. Welcome. Oh shit, hold on. Forgot my microphone.
You gotta keep that.
Ooh, that was good, right?
What questions? Conversation.
Yes, that's what I like.
Fine.
That's what I like.
Fine.
Aww.